More than 5,000 liters of oil has leaked from a pipeline in northern Alberta, and the flooding in Calgary is hampering the cleanup. Pennwest Exploration, which owns the pipeline, says the spill likely happened last evening in near proposed future reserve lands of the Lubicon Lake First Nation. Crews are working on cleaning up the spill, but the company says communications with the Calgary head office are affected by the flooding. People from around the region gathered in Paradise Valley over the weekend for the Three Cities Fair. The 41st annual event held by the Ag Society wrapped up today. Unfortunately, the wet conditions forced cancellations on many of the activities. But locals still came out to support the weekend, and staff say it was a good time for everyone.
It's a small town, so everybody does like to come out. It's after seeding and after spraying, so it's kind of a nice time for everyone to get together and mingle with the neighbors.
With meals, 4-H shows, and activities for all ages, it's the biggest event that takes place in Paradise Valley. The response from the community keeps on going year after year.
The entire town does support it very well. Last night it was raining and we still had a full crowd for the Bullarama. It's very well supported.
The Ag Society plans to do renovations during the winter to the arena and is excited for next year.
We try to keep good facilities for the community, like the arena here. We're going to be doing an upgrade to kind of the lobby area. We're going to be doing some upgrades to the park, hopefully.
The chuck wagon races, chariots, and the slow pitch tournament were canceled because of the rain. Two-way, ham, and Morse code. They're all remnants of a technology once common to emergency responders and the military. On Saturday, North American amateur radio operators held their annual field day across the continent. Bart Pediasic introduces us to a local group keeping the craft alive and explains that the technology isn't as obsolete as you might think.
This is Whiskey 4 Zulu Alpha, Whiskey 4 Zulu Alpha.
That guy's in Florida.
It was a tribute to technology of old, as more than a dozen enthusiasts came out to the Lakeland College grounds to practice their hobby. People just like Bill Till.
1956 I got a license, so I've been on the air for 57 years now, and enjoyed every minute of it.
Till is a veteran of the craft and says he got bitten by the radio bug in his earlier days. But that's not the case with many young people today.
In some ways it's not as popular as it was then, because the young guys who were interested in that type of thing kind of gravitated into ham radio, and nowadays they get into computers.
But the community is still strong. According to Till, there are about 1 million registered users in North America alone. The annual field day was not only a chance for the local radio club to get together, but they also taught important lessons like how to set up power and shelter in the event of an emergency.
A disaster actually comes along, you've got to figure it out. You can set up quickly, get up on the air, and start establishing emergency communication links. And
Greg Shelley says those skills are still vital today. Amateur radio users are still employed at major events around the world, including this year's Boston Marathon.
There was about 200 amateurs at the Boston Marathon, and there they had to stop the race, and that was all amateur communication to send the messages out to the checkpoints to stop the runners.
And whether it's an emergency or just a chance to connect with old friends, Bill Till is happy to call himself an amateur radio operator.
I've got friends in Australia that I talk to quite regularly. One of my friends in Prince George has a regular schedule with a fellow in Brisbane. He talks to him every night. Every night.
Bart Pediasic, Newcap News.
So the Xtreme welcomed the Wainwright Wolfpack to the Kitscoty Agriplex this afternoon.
Yeah, it was the battle of first and worst. The Xtreme entered play in top spot in the division, while the Wolfpack only have one win on the season and sit last. The game was about as lopsided as you would assume. Picked this one up with the Xtreme ahead 6-2. Ty Cobstar gets it down low and goes far side for his first goal of the game. to increase the Lloydminster lead to 5. Cobside would add another, and the Xtreme would lead 8-2 after 2 periods. Early in the third, Xtreme on a power play and moving the ball around well. Brandon Peterson spots Cobsar in the slot, and he finds Mesh to complete the natural hat trick. That puts the Xtreme up 9-2. A short while later, Xtreme attacking again. Kyle Leroux lets the shot go right into the manhood of Travis Lavelli, and he would be down for a while. If you've ever been hit in that region, you know that it's not fun. He would leave the game and did not look happy. The rink got very humid in the third, making the floor slippery. After watching a few players slip inside, the refs decided to call the game due to safety concerns. So the Xtreme take it 9-2. Ty Cobsar finished with the hat trick and an assist, while Quinn Moon was lights out, in on all but 2 Xtreme goals with a 7-point performance. Their next game is on July 6th. The Vandals took on the Drillers last night with a chance to get to 500 on the season. The team would be in tough, though, as they made the trip to Grand Prairie with a short bench. And it had a big impact on the game, helping the Drillers come away with a 40-0 win. The defense had a solid showing for the Vandals, finishing with 4 fumble recoveries and a few interceptions. But you're not going to win games if you can't score points. The Vandals were missing a few key players on offense and played the game with their 4th different starting quarterback in 4 games. Hopefully the Green and Black will get a better turnout in 2 weeks when they're in St. Albert for a date with the Stars. All this rain caused the CPCA to cancel 2 of the first 3 days of racing out in Wainwright. But not today. It was Championship Sunday and $20,000 was on the line. Chance Bensmiller entered the day in first place with his eyes on the prize. So let's take a look at the top times from this afternoon. BJ Carey came flying out of the gates for a 103.07. Vernolan was right behind him with a 103.09, just 2 100ths of a second back. Brian Laboucaine was the 3rd quickest time on the day, clocking in at 103.40, while JB Laboucaine and Ray Mitsuing rounded up the top 5. That means Chance Bensmiller is your 2013 Wainwright champion with a combined time of 2:10.25. Brian Laboucaine was so close but finishes 7 100ths of a second back at 2:10.32. Shane Nolan is 3rd at 2:11.5. Dave Galloway and Chance Bensmiller fill out the top 5. Bensmiller had a great, albeit abbreviated, weekend in Wainwright. Both his outfits finished in the top 5, and by finishing first at the Wainwright event, he's awarded a $10,000 payday. Brian Laboucaine was awarded $6,000 for 2nd, and Shane Nolan took home $4,000 for 3rd. Next weekend, the CPCA is in Onion Lake for 5 days of racing starting on Wednesday.